ESPN, the world leader in motorsports coverage, presents Speed World. It's an overcast, foggy day at Road Atlanta, but the racers from all over the country are warming up, getting focused on what they've worked so hard for all season long. The Suzuki Cup Final, competition in 3 classes, the 600, 750, and 1100cc. And for many, today could be their biggest payday of the year.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 7th annual Suzuki Cup Final. I'm Art Eckman along with Dave Despain. And Dave, they used to call this the star search for road racers, but with $60,000 on the line, I'm not so sure it's not some of the best talent around.
Well, that's absolutely right, Art. Let's not forget that the reigning world superbike champion, Doug Poland, came right out of this event in this series. Just to get here is a tremendous accomplishment. Qualifying has gone on all year, all over the country. Now they come here, and what you did last week doesn't mean anything. Everybody starts with a clean sheet of paper to decide the best of the best in 3 classes, 3 main events in a half hour. This is going to be a heck of a show.
Let's meet the stars of the show.
Well, here are 3 pretty big stars right here. Number 1 is Kurt Hall, 96 is Michael Martin, and 24, Chuck Graves. 3 members of the Valvoline Suzuki team, all favorites here today.
These riders are truly excited about the track and the situation. We asked them why this series is so important.
It keeps me on top of everybody's mind as far as you know, who some of the top pilots are in the country, and that's what I look forward to. I look forward to coming against the big guns all across the country and showing them I have a little bit of talent, you know what I mean?
And it's close racing, and it's fun, and I really enjoy going fast on these Suzuki motorcycles and stuff. And but for me, you know, this is probably where I'll stay.
Means a lot. This is the most important race of the year, of course. I've been racing for Suzuki for 2 years, and I really love their motorcycles, and get a lot of press over this, and it's just a real important race. You know, it's a big race. I like to finish as good as I can.
Fellows like Team Suzuki Endurance, Suzuki in general, they really look out for the little guy, and that's what this series is all about. It's grassroots to help you step up and maybe get somewhere in the sport.
And if you're an aspiring Suzuki Cup road racer, well, there's lots of opportunity here to admire the hardware over in the display area. This guy's got a big smile on his face.
All the new products for 93 on display where the fans can check out the styles and the new technology. The newest features setting the 93s apart, liquid cooling. The 1992 Suzuki National Cup Series Final, a special edition of Speed World, is brought to you by Suzuki. Right now, your Suzuki dealer has the ride you've been waiting for and the financing to get it.
The Suzuki GSXRs. First, they win more road races than any production motorcycle in history. License plate on them. The new liquid-cooled GSXRs, now available in 600, 750, and 1100 octane.
Welcome back. Our races today, Dave, will be a good yardstick to the ability of the rider.
Absolutely. Everybody's on a Suzuki GSXR, so it's a level playing field. And what a playing field. Road Atlanta, I think the most exciting motorcycle track in America. Terrific elevation changes, 12 turns jammed into 2.5 miles. It's a very busy racetrack. But the thing that fascinates me most is that little complex at the end. The big dip on the backstretch, 160 miles an hour. Right-hander under the bridge and down the hill to the finish line. Guarantee you're going to see some action there.
Let's take a trip around the track.
We've got a couple of great viewpoints here. First, we ride with Don Canet across start, finish, and into turn 1. And then we get the reverse angle of Jim Randolph in the same section of the racetrack to show you how the body English works and how much he's got to flick his weight left to right and right to left to make it through this twisting series of turns. He's actually heading now up over the crest and into the right-hander that takes you down through the S's, the first really difficult complex here at Road A. See how he sits up? That'll be the braking point as he leans left through the S. Now watch the big wheelie.
Also, you have to watch for pavement inconsistencies on this track.
Yeah, they're actually repaving Road Atlanta during the off-season. There are some bumps. See how he swoops into the apex, then lets the bike drift wide to have as wide a line as possible through this corner. This one is critical because it sets up the run down the backstretch where you hit 160 mile an hour.
Turn 7 first gear and huge bumps as you exit to get into that straightaway.
This is where you get your head down behind the fairing, let the motorcycle do the work. About all you can do is stay in line behind somebody else to draft. Watch how Randolph leans right here. It's a little kink that you got to take flat out and still stay on line for the dip coming up. Kane remembers crashing at the bottom of this thing at 160 miles an hour. Now, up the hill, sit up, hard on the brakes, lay it right, drag the knee under the bridge and down the hill. Try to avoid the speed bumps on the left, cut the apex tight, and back to the finish line if you don't crash.
Is that why they call it a rider's course?
It's scary, I'll tell you.
The first of our 3 main events, the 600cc Suzuki National Cup Series final underway. Kurt Hall, number 60, number 59, Donald Jacks, number 28, Britt Turkington in that front row.
Turkington had the pole position on the right side of the racetrack going into a right-hand corner. Hall just blitzed the start. Here you see the big field twisting off into the fog. Conditions are not perfect here today. That will be a visibility factor. There'll be a lot of moisture on the face shields. Look how Hall opened up the early lead.
You don't want to let Hall get too far out in front. Donald Jacks being passed by Turkington, and Michael Martin then is in the 4th spot with Dave Sadowski in 5th.
See the fog, see the big crowd lining the racetrack as they come down the hill and for the first time go into the S's. Watch the bump here as they hit the inconsistency, and note that Chuck Graves is on the move on 24.
National Endurance Champion of 1988, 90, and 91, Kurt Hall. And beside what we see on the screen, he's the operations manager for Wera. He's in charge of organizing these races. He says, by the time I get to the race, it should be all ready to go.
Hall obviously does his job prior to and is doing his job right now in the 600 class, but he's got some heat. Graves has come from the 3rd row to pass Turkington and take over 2nd spot. How do they see where they're going? Believe me, the visibility is a little better on the bike. The guy who's got the good line is 59, Donald Jacks. He works his way back past Graves, who had passed him a lap earlier, and now sets his sights on Hall. Hall's not going to run away with this thing. It's tight up front.
So we've got Hall, Jacks, Graves, and Martin getting into the scene. Down the straightaway, Martin coming up close, just might be waiting. Jacks, though, sizing up things here at turn 1. He cuts to the inside. He's got the lead away from Hall.
Hall didn't run it in there very hard. He kind of let Jacks have the inside line. Donald says, thank you very much. I'll take that lead. And Martin has closed up on Graves.
And the first 4 in a tight pack. We'll be right back.
Off the road, on the road. The Suzuki Dual Sport 350S. It's a vicious cycle.
Because they are easy.
The Suzuki Katana 600, easily identified flying object.
Welcome back to the 600cc Suzuki National Cup Series final, and a good race out in front.
Donald Jacks with the lead. Hall tucks right into his draft up the front straightaway, comes out of line. Jacks passed him right here a lap ago. Kurt says, I know how to do that now. And he drives right underneath him and says, I'll take the spot back. Pretty good seesaw battle. They're still feeling each other out. Keep in mind, it's a short 10-lap sprint. There's not a lot of time for strategizing.
Hall, number 60, Jacks, number 59, pulling away from the field. Number 96, Martin is 3rd ahead of a pack of Kane, Graves, Sadowski, and Turkington.
Kurt Hall and Donald Jacks are teammates when Team Valvoline Suzuki runs the long-distance endurance races. In the sprints, they each have their own program. Jacks, of course, got a shot at Grand Prix competition over in Europe last year when Kevin Schwantz got hurt. Schwantz came back so fast that Jacks didn't get a chance to race, but he's certainly got a race on his hands right now with Kurt Hall.
Let's go trackside now to our colleague Joe Columbero, who tells us the difference from these racing bikes and those you see on the streets.
The GSXRs you see on the racetrack today aren't handmade factory works bikes. Actually, they're almost completely stock, much like the Suzuki you could buy from your local dealer. They've only made a few basic changes for safety considerations and to improve the performance a bit for racing. The first thing they do is remove anything made of glass. The rear view mirrors come off, the headlight, the blinkers, of course, and the tail light. And a lot of racers remove the speedometer because that's a gauge they really don't look at, but they do keep the tachometer. Next thing they'll do is safety wire the bike completely so that they don't spill any oil or coolant on the track. That way they prevent a nut or a bolt from backing out. A racer is also allowed to change the pads on his brakes, but he has to keep the same basic brake calipers in the bike. A lot of riders will change to an aftermarket exhaust system to improve performance, and they'll put on a new rear shock. They're also allowed to run a racing compound tire, but it has to be DOT approved. Internal engine modifications or carburation is illegal, and the bike is basically stock. And that's what they take out on the racetrack. Art and Dave, back to you.
Thanks, Joe. We pick up the action in the 600s now, and it's Hall on top of Donald Jacks.
And that seems pretty static. I think Jacks is waiting for the last lap. They've tested each other out. They've passed each other back and forth. And I think that Jacks figures his best shot is a last lap draft pass. He's keeping the pressure on, but he's not making any effort to actually go around Hall. He's content to let Hall set the pace.
Way out in front of the pack, and in the back of the pack as we see the last lap coming up now. Turkington has moved to 4th with his sights on Martin in 3rd.
Right there, Jacks comes up the outside close enough that Hall can hear him, and he keeps him thinking because he wants to force the mistake or just use the horsepower and draft him down that long back straightaway. He's right there riding in Hall's line, but he's not trying to be aggressive and move him out of the way. So for Hall, who's never won this class, the pressure is to stay cool, and off that last corner, he's got to get the tremendous drive. Otherwise, Jack's going to eat him alive.
Are there any surprises left now after 9 full laps?
Well, I don't really think so. They each know what the other is capable of, both in terms of their own riding and also in terms of the performance of the motorcycle. They're coming off the final corner right here, and now it's the long charge down the straightaway, and my guess is Jacks is going to use the draft here. The following motorcycle has a tremendous advantage when you make this straightaway run because the guy out front is separating the wind. The guy in the back is riding in a vacuum. Here he comes out of the draft. Inside, they'll go through the right-hand bend with Jacks having the good line, and sure enough, he pulls off the pass as they go down into the bottom of the big dip. That may be the...
Whoa! Wobble there. He's braking hard going under the bridge.
Hall coming back up the inside. I don't think there's going to be room there. Jacks cuts the corner.
Whoa! Look at this! Hall makes the pass on the final turn and gets the checkers.
Pamela, his wife, is thrilled. I am shocked. I've never seen anybody make the pass to win the race in turn 12 at Road Atlanta. It's narrow. It's one line. Jacks got by, but watch the back end flipping around here. What happened was he thought he was in there too hot. He's very hard on the front brake. That picks up the rear wheel. When he ran a little bit wide, Hall saw an opportunity, used the momentum to dive into no man's land. The racetrack is very narrow right there. Jack should have been down on that inside line by the time he tried to get there. Hall had him blocked, and Kurt Hall pulls off a miracle pass.
Former two-time Cup winner. Last year he won the 1100, but he came through with a 600cc victory here this afternoon. Kurt Hall, number 1, beating out Donald Jacks. Michael Martin, 3rd. Sadowski took a 4th. And Canay, a 5th. An impressive performance by him. Turkington, Graves, Beatty, Roberti, and Patterson rounding out the top 10.
I thought I had it figured out, but it just didn't work. I made a mistake, and he got me, so nothing I could do about it.
So I knew I had to get a good drive out from the bridge. Got a good drive and passed him between turn 11 and turn 12, and my Dunlop tires worked great, and Suzuki builds the best 600 bikes available. It was a great time. The Suzuki National Cup Series is the most fun available.
What a guy. All that excitement, all that drama in turn 12. Kurt Hall so cool he doesn't forget a single commercial in Victory Lane.
We'll be back with the 750cc action after these words.
The Suzuki Katana 600, easily identified flying object.
Mirror, mirror on the wall. The Suzuki Intruder.
Welcome back to Road Atlanta for the Suzuki National Cup Series. Between races, the fans get the chance to meet their favorite riders and get autographs at the Suzuki tent.
It's open to everyone. It's non-intimidating. There's bikes. There's prizes to be won. It's a good time. They should come down, enjoy themselves, and buy a new Suzuki.
The start of the 750 Suzuki National Cup Series Final. In the front row, the qualifiers, number 59, Donald Jacks, number 60, Kurt Hall, number 24, Chuck Graves. In the second row, Michael Martin and Robert Wright, number 17.
Quite a little melee back there in mid-pack as Graves gets the good start, leads him into turn one. The fog still hanging across the racetrack. It's really not a problem. They can see where they're going. The cameras look through a lot of the fog. It sometimes looks worse than it is.
It's Hall, Graves, and Jacks with Martin in fourth.
That's a familiar cast of players. The cream rising here in 750, just as it did in 600.
Now a seasoned veteran, Donald Jacks, hoping that recent history doesn't repeat itself, and this is the second race of the afternoon. Jacks coming up through the youthful ranks, listed as a great potential, and here's a young man, 20 years old, Steve Patterson. He's trying to follow the footsteps of his father. Started racing at age 12. Back to the action now. We see number 17, Wright, making the inside move, passing Martin.
Big moment for Wright. That's for third spot. Guy's been out there doing battle since 1988. Finished fourth last year in both 750 and 1100. Travels to the races with his wife and 14-month-old son, out trying to buy some baby food with the winnings here today.
Hall and Jacks starting to pull away from the pack a little bit now as Wright is doing well. Martin slipping back to fifth.
That's a good race for third, and up front, it's a replay, isn't it? Because Jacks has once again kind of set the homing device on the rear fender of that number 60. Here's the battle. It's Wright in third, and then number 28, Turkington, is fourth. That's a dogfight behind Turk. He's struggled here today. He's the defending champion in this class.
Wright, number 17. Martin taking on Turkington right here.
That's for fourth and fifth. Tom Wilson is sixth, close behind them, and Graves in seventh is still part of the action. That's a great five-rider scrap behind the leaders. Hall, who glances back over his shoulder to check the progress of Donald Jacks.
These riders coming from all over the country, 10 regions. Suzuki pays for 10 places in the local races, and then they add up the points at the end of the year. The top 5 from each region gets invited to this race.
All right, in 1986, when they started this program, I think it was the biggest shot in the arm for clubman racing, for competition at this level that the sport has ever had. Doug Poland, the first year, went out and rode something like 96 races, made $100,000, came here and won the year-end championship. There's a pass by Wilson on Martin to pick up a spot. It just gives the guy an incentive and an opportunity and a little reward for going out and racing the local stuff.
Good battles between first and second, and then back a little ways, third and fourth.
Yeah, Wright's going to lose a spot here. It appeared at one time that he was going to be able to go run down the leader, but now he's fallen into Turkington's clutches, and Turk's all over him as they come up and under the bridge. Right here's where Turkington won this race a year ago. He hugged the inside line and he beat Kurt Hall by about a bike length.
Let's go trackside and Joe Colombero.
The line of GSXR motorcycles from Suzuki has been completely redone for 1993. The main feature all three motorcycles get is liquid cooling. The GSXR750 gets the new liquid-cooled motor, a new chassis, and a new suspension system. The GSXR1100 gets the new liquid-cooled motor, a new chassis and suspension, plus a 6-piston front disc brake setup. Very good stopping power. The highly successful GSXR600 returns in 1993 with minor changes, ready to win even more races. Art and Dave, back to you.
Back to 750cc action. Hall out in front, but look at here. Turkington has moved up to third place and is putting the heat on Jacks.
Turkington is struggling a little this weekend. He's actually a Yoshimura Suzuki factory rider. He makes the pass on Jacks right there. Suzuki felt it might be inappropriate to have their team guys ride in this final, and so they weren't going to let him do it. And then at the last minute they said, well, it's okay, but you can't ride the Yosh bikes. So Turk had to scramble to get a motorcycle together here. Here is the 31-year-old from Donna, Texas, perhaps the greatest practical joker in all of road racing. This is a funny, funny human being.
Turkington loves this track. He's won before the 750 title last year, and he takes the lead again.
Carbon copy of Jack's move in the 600 race. Draft him down the straightaway, get the lead before you go to the dip. Turkington and Hall in a rematch of a year ago. Hall comes up the inside. They'll be looking for the white flag. This thing's down to a shootout.
Hall looking back at Jax, and Jack's in good position.
He could be the spoiler in all this, because if the two guys up front get banging together a little bit, Jax could squirt by both of them. There's not a lot of good places to make a double pass on this racetrack. Jax needs to get one of these guys quick and then just have the other one to worry about.
Last lap as they come off that huge bump under the bridge and go up the hill.
Wonder what Hall's thinking right now. He hasn't had an opportunity to see Turkington the whole race. Turk comes up and zips him, going to the white flag. Now, Hall hadn't been to school on him at all. He knows all about Jax, but he doesn't know a lot about Turkington.
Hall, of course, looking for 2 in a row in this 3-race program this afternoon.
There'll be another factor here, and that's the lap bike. Number 73, Darrell Allen, who started dead last on the grid, is about to be overhauled by the leaders, and the trick is going to be for all 3 of them to get by him clean.
Especially in the corners leading to the back straight, which means so much speed. And Turkington and Hall making the move, but Jax couldn't get by.
Jax is in trouble. He's on a bad line now through the final corner that leads out onto the straightaway. Look, he runs almost off the racetrack. He's lost all his momentum, and he's going to pay for that the whole length of this straightaway. I think it's a 2-man race, Turkington and Hall.
And it might come right down to the same area that the race was decided last year. We'll check it out as they come off this tremendous speed straightaway.
Well, exactly. This is where this race was decided a year ago. They're down into the dip. They're coming to the bridge. A year ago, Turkington 28 hugged the inside under the bridge, and Hall couldn't get around him.
Hall's going to the outside.
Unbelievable. If he makes this, it'll be a miracle of all time. He's off the racetrack. Just missed the Tiger's teeth. He's going to win the race.
Hall takes his second Suzuki final in as many races. There's the checkered flag. He's got a chance now for the Triple Crown.
I don't know how he did it. I said I'd never seen anybody go inside in 12. I guarantee you I've never seen anybody go outside under the bridge. Here it is. He knew Turk had the inside. He just made a lane out there. It's all off camber. Right here, he almost whacked the ripple strip on pit road, the stock of the sports car track, and that would have crashed him.
Masterful timing gives Kurt Hall the victory over Turkington. Jack's 3rd, Robert Wright a good race 4th, and Tom Wilson 5th. Rounding out the top 10, Graves, Martin, Baldus, Beatty, and Renzel. Let's go to Joe Calabero, trackside.
Kurt Hall, your 2nd win in a row today. Massive battle near the end there. How do you feel?
I feel trembling just like before. Britt put on a real good ride, and last year I knew he was going to go real inside going up under the bridge, and he did it again this year, went inside, and I just came around the outside of him and put it to him. So I've been learning from my mistakes.
Learning from his mistakes means more money for Kurt Hall. 2 races, 2 wins. He's $10,000 richer. We'll be back to Road Atlanta after this.
The Suzuki GSXRs. First, they win more road races than any production motorcycle in history. Then, we put a license plate on them. The new liquid-cooled GSXRs, now available in 600, 750, and 1100 octane.
The 1992 Suzuki National Cup Series Final, a special edition of Speed World, is being brought to you by Suzuki. Right now, your Suzuki dealer has the ride you've been waiting for. As we look at the start of the 1100cc Suzuki National Cup Series Final, I don't know we can expect any better action than we saw in the 600 and the 750. So let's take a look at the highlights now of a history-making performance, the first sweep in this event.
No way you're going to see another finish like we had in the first 2. Kurt Hall is up and gone in this one. Here's the big move by number 15, Steve Patterson. Inside, it's right. That gives Patterson 3rd place. And the guy who got him started in the race, and Billy G, is real happy about that.
He wants to follow his dad's footsteps, and his dream, of course, go all the way to the Grand Prix World Championship.
Meanwhile, the headline should read, Hall makes history, the first man ever to win all 3 finals at Road Atlanta. Here's Donald Jackson, a distant second.
And a career high for Steve Patterson here, edging out Robert Wright for 3rd place. Right after Wright, it's Beatty in 5th place, and let's take a look at 6 through 10 as our man trackside Joe Calabero joins 31-year-old Kurt Hall, a history-making Triple Crown winner.
You made history today as the first rider to Grand Slam the Suzuki Cup Series, all 3 classes, 600, 750, 1100. What are you going to do with all the money?
Whew, well, I'm going to make a lot of house payments right now, I tell you. I really appreciate Suzuki putting on this. It's a great series. It's so much fun. And it pits some of the best riders against one another. And, you know, I couldn't be here in a winter circle if it wasn't for my tuner, Scotty Beach. He does a whole lot of work on these motorcycles, and I really appreciate all his support and help, too.
It is said of Kurt Hall that he doesn't have a tremendous amount of natural talent. If that's true, hard work and a whole lot of courage allow him to stand today someplace no one has stood before.
And $15,000 richer for his last lap passing action. Art Ekman for Dave Despain from Road Atlanta. Thank you for being with us.